What's up, guys? Today's video I'm going to be doing a Lagun table in the 15TB. So what a Lagun table is it is a table that kind of moves around. I'm going to make it kind of custom. That might be on the next video. For now, I'm going to have a temporary tabletop on it. The reason why I'm doing this is I want a permanent table in the camper as well as a permanent bed. And again, the permanent bed part, we'll get to that later, but for now I'm working on the table. I already had it mounted in there, but not everything was level and flush, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to show you what I'm doing to add this table to the camper and to make it nice and sturdy as we build it. So it's gonna look a little rudimentary, but it's all gonna be underneath of the seat, so you won't see it anyway. But let me go ahead and show you what I've done. All right, guys, don't mind the mess, but basically what I'm doing is I'm adding a Lagun table mount right here. It's about 52 inches or so away from the back of the camper, and we're gonna be mounting it to that side of this little wall here. You can see I've got some cushion there, so our bed is gonna be going across this way. We'll get to that at a later date, but for now we're gonna focus on the table. You can see I've already made a giant mess trying to shim the hell out of this thing, but so if you look at this, this isn't, I mean, it's wood, but it's like some cheapy stuff, and you don't want to mount anything right to that because it'll just pull right out. What's really nice about these Geo Pro and E-pro campers is that the bed frames are actually made out of aluminum. It gives a nice little frame here to mount our table to. So again, like I said, this stuff's really thin. I mean, you can see the light going through there. It's very thin wood, so we need to add some bracing to this. So you can see from here all the way across, there's a nice box here behind the filter. So I measured this out, and what I'm gonna do is add a 1-inch piece of wood that goes across here to match the thickness of the metal. And then I already have the framing drilled out here that'll go across. So let me show you the piece of wood that I'm going to use to fill this in to sturdy it up. Okay, so like I said, it's a little rudimentary here, but stick with me. So these are the frame members that are going to be going across, and then this is where the metal is in the frame of the bed. So I added these two frame members across, and then on the other side I kind of ran out of wood. I've got two 1/2-inch pieces of wood here to make a 1-inch plywood backer for the table. I've already tried using just one piece, but the distance of the framing makes it so that it bends and then you can't get it level. So this other piece of wood I added here is because the Lagun table has a metal back plate, and if you don't put this piece of wood here, you'll have to bend that back plate, which of course I've already done. So I've added this so I don't have to bend that plate anymore. And how we're attaching this to the bed frame are some self-tapping screws. Again, a little rudimentary, but there's some self-tapping screws in here that were too short, and now I can't get them out of there. So I've got some longer ones that are already in the camper, but basically, like I said, this frame right here, so from here to here is the inside of that metal frame, and then you'll see these pieces of wood that stick out. These are going to be what we attach to that metal frame, and then this part here is what will be recessed in that frame, and then this will back up to that cheapy Luan stuff, so then it'll give a nice thick backer for our Lagun table mount. It will drill right through here, and then it clamps on this instead of that really thin stuff. So let me go ahead and get this in the camper, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay guys, so it takes a little finagling to get in there, because if you don't take the filter out, you kind of have to bend it a little bit to get this whole frame in there. So you can see what I was talking about here, where these are framing members that go across to the metal frame, and then we stick some self-tapping screws which holds our whole piece of wood inside of this frame. It makes a nice solid spot for our table to mount to. So here are the self-tapping screws I'm using, and there's also a washer that I'm sticking in there so the screw doesn't go right through the wood. And then it's just a 5/16 nut driver, magnetic, so you don't lose your screw. And then it goes right through our frame. I already had some holes drilled in there with these. I'm just remounting this so they're going in easier than if you were starting new, but. And then this mounts right to our metal frame behind the wood. Okay guys, so I've got my self-tapping screws through the wood and into the metal frame. And then you can see I've got my Lagun table mount on the front. So the reason why this mount is down low, you can see it's a few inches down low, is because the metal frame actually has two pieces here, and I didn't want to drill through this with these bolts, so I brought it down a little bit to mount our plate through. So what I did was start with this bolt up here, and I stuck a level on this. Make sure your camper is level when you're doing this, otherwise you'll end up in this situation that I'm in now and having to remount everything. That's why I'm actually making this video now, is because I didn't have this level and the table that I put on there was completely crooked. So anyway, make sure the camper is level first. So now I've got a bolt in here, and then I leveled it out. I've got a bolt in there, and then yeah, we're perfectly level there. So now I can actually drill these holes out to get the rest of our bolts in. I did want to point out that this mount is not a true Lagun table mount. I found this one on Amazon for cheaper, and I might change it out later, but this table seems to work fine. But it did come with these stainless steel bolts with hex heads, and basically I've stripped most of them out, and then they come with lock washers as well, the ones with the nylon insert, just like that. And the lock washers got cross-threaded or something halfway through, and I couldn't completely bolt it, so I've had to shear those off, and I ended up buying 5/16 bolts, but they have flatheads on them, so it's a little more, I don't know, I thought it'd be more difficult to deal with, but these actually are pretty easy because I can just use a ratchet on one side and a flathead screwdriver on that side. And then I just made sure that the hole is big enough so I can just push those through. And yeah, so I just picked up these at Ace Hardware. They are 5/16 by 3 inch, and they work perfectly with this fake Lagun table mount. You can see it comes with this plate. So I stuck this other piece of wood under here so it would have a full mounting surface there. And then we just use the lock nuts or the nylon nuts, nylon insert nuts on the back, and then basically clamp all the way through. Okay guys, I've got my fake Lagun table mount. I haven't decided if I want to keep this thing or not, and I've already sheared off most of the bolts, and I don't know, but this plastic piece here, let me know if you have a real Lagun table mount, but this thing, like, I don't know if the real ones do that or not, but like this whole plastic piece will come out just like that, and it makes it a little wobbly. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I've already used it long enough to where I know it'll hold like everything I need it to. Like, even if I pull it out here, I mean, it's plenty sturdy. But anyway, I'll decide whether or not I want to keep it. So I've got everything mounted up here. You can tell that, like, this thing's very sturdy with all these bolts running through all that sturdy wood. Yeah, this thing's not going anywhere. You're gonna have to bear with me on kind of the vision here, but you can see I've got a mattress topper that goes kind of widthwise in the camper. So that is 52 inches here we decided that 54 would make these seats too small. So I used a mattress topper that we had already, cut it down to 52, and then laid it across this way. And then I got some like high density foam to stick underneath of it in the middle, and then just used a piece of plywood and some 2x4s to hold it up here in the middle, because we'll never use the table that came with the camper because it's so heavy. This does give us, I don't know if, again, bear with me here, but you can see it gives us permanent seats, one here and one on this side. And then we have a nice table to eat at, play cards, use our laptops, whatever. This is a temporary table, so this will generally be the size when it's folded up. I'm going to make this with some hinges, a couple hinges here and a couple hinges there, so then there will be a couple of leaves that open like so, and we'll have a little bit bigger table, because you can't really fit, you know, two plates or two laptops or anything here. But once you do add those leaves on here, that'll give you plenty of room. And then when you want to go to bed, you fold them up. The table becomes this size. And then this just moves over, and it can become our little nightstand there. All I got left to do now is to clean up my mess down there and then make my tabletop. I am not a woodworker, so we'll see how this goes, but I'm gonna make some routed edges and stuff to make it a little bit nicer, so I'm not banging myself on these, you know, corners here. So anyway, this is a pretty easy project. If you want to just use a regular tabletop, you can buy them on Amazon or whatever. Just buy a piece of wood, cut it down, stick it there like I've done here, but I'll be making something for this here soon, so stay tuned for that. And then I'll take a little bit better video of this later on how the bed is set up. Still not quite as comfortable as I was hoping, so it's going to be a future thing. All right, guys, thanks for checking this video out. Let me know if you have any questions on setting up a, well, fake Lagun table. It's basically setting up the same way as a regular Lagun. This is just, you know, the Chinese Amazon version. But let me know if you have any questions on the setup here or anything else about the 15 TB. Everything's going great so far. We're just modifying it to where we want it to be, and yeah, we're getting close. So stay tuned for more videos. I've got some on this fridge here, as well as the bed setup and some other modifications we'll be doing soon. So hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.